And number 5, where do I want to go? Now, under each of these categories, write down several possible long-term goals. Be very relaxed about this. Just allow your mind to flow and come up with 3 to 6 ideas for each category. Don't worry about a lot of details at this point, and don't spend too much time describing a particular goal. In category number 1, for example, what do I want to do? Suppose you want to write a book about the history of your family, going back to the arrival of your great-grandparents in the United States. Just quickly jot down family history. Then as you look down the list of categories, it occurs to you that you've always wanted to see the pyramids in Egypt. So you write pyramids. Keep writing down ideas as long as the list of categories continues to inspire you. You'll probably be surprised at some of the things that turn up. You may have kept a great many desires and aspirations hidden in the back of your mind, but the opportunity to write them down will move them to the forefront of your consciousness. That's one of the benefits of this technique. When you're satisfied with your list of long-term goals, read through the list once again. Then, beside each item, write the number of years that you believe it will take you to achieve that particular goal. It's best to round off the numbers into 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year categories. For example, you may estimate that it will take you 10 years to research and write the book on your family history. But you'll need only 5 years to get yourself into a position where you can take a trip to the pyramids. Create a time frame like this for every one of your long-term goals. Immediate goals, those that will take less than a year to achieve, are important too, of course, and we'll deal with those separately in a moment.
Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kalpesh Patel, and I'm super excited to be your host on tonight's training call. Goodness, we've got some real fun ideas for today that will give you huge inspiration going forward into 2022. So I want to start by thanking everyone for showing up today, all of the members around the world that have made a decision and have committed to giving yourself a better life. That's what this is about. So I hope you're ready with pen and paper, have all of your tools around you ready, recording whatever your device of choice is to capture the information. And my wish for you is that this information will take you to the next stage of your journey, right? So, you know, I'm going to crack open some conversations, some ideas, some concepts that over my 25 years full-time in the direct sales space, I have picked up, and you know, either from learning through myself, my own journey, and also learning from the, you know, the interaction that all great networkers get to have with great team members and teammates. So hundreds of thousands of people later, hundreds of thousands of conversations later, there comes a thread that you start to see, patterns that you start to see. They start to appear in all conversations, in all interactions, and in all countries. This is a borderless conversation. So I want to start with that. Actually, we often find ourselves saying things like, it's harder in my country, or it's harder in my state, it's harder in my postcode, it's harder in my locality. And you know what? Whatever you say is true for you. So learning to undo this stuff for me was powerful. Learning to undo that I was living in the wrong area, the East End of London, poverty-stricken, violence-ridden. I was in the wrong area. That's why I couldn't succeed. That could have been a story, right? I didn't let that stop me. Plenty did. Plenty of people thought that by being in that area, they were disadvantaged. I didn't see the disadvantage. I refused to see the disadvantage. I could have said back then in racist East London, I'm the wrong color, but I didn't. So I was raised to see things differently. I didn't let the color of the pigmentation in my skin determine the decisions I would make and the direction I would take. I refused to have a chip on my shoulder because of how others were around me. Others did. Plenty of people in the locality that had a chip on their shoulder about the color that they were and the discrimination that they had to face and the noise that they had to put up with. I put up with the same noise, the same discrimination, the same nonsense, but where I saw it as nonsense, they bought into it. They got caught up in it and they got raveled up and then they got swallowed up by it. And many of them, their whole life revolves around that stuff. Everything is true for you until it's not. Let's start with that. Everything is true for you until it's not. So I want you to challenge your truths about this beautiful industry. Challenge your truths about network marketing, direct selling, referral marketing, affiliate marketing, sharing ideas, sharing opportunities. Challenge your truth. Whatever your truth is, right? Truth is something that we believe in. That's all it is. It's an idea, a concept, a conversation that we have decided to buy into. And I say decided because it's a decision. Truth is a decision. Everything you believe stems from a decision that you made at some point in your life. Every human being is born without any decisions. Blank canvas. We're all a blank canvas when we come onto the planet, and then we start making decisions. All right? So look back at the decisions you've made in your life about life, and the decisions you made in your life about people. People are a certain way. You're right. In your world, you're right. You can hold on to that truth. And guess what? You'll find evidence for it everywhere. Or you can shift that truth and create another truth. And you'll find evidence for that everywhere. Isn't that interesting? Which truth is more powerful? The one you choose. You have choices in every single thought that you decide to follow through and turn into a belief. And you have the opportunity to challenge every belief that you've ever backed up with your thoughts and your tinted glasses, your rose-tinted view of the world that you've created. Imagine that. Imagine you can change your mind. Wow. It's liberating. It is liberating when you can change your mind. Most human beings can't change their mind. So imagine this now. Imagine that you have an idea or a thought or a belief system, whether it's inherited from your parents, from your neighborhood, from your culture, from your country, from your state, from your postcode, whatever it is, you have ideas about network marketing. And then you see a phenomenal opportunity. You say yes, you jump in, you get started, but the ideas that have been formulated on your behalf by society and family and friends and contacts and the environments that you're in, those ideas still hold true in your subconscious. So then you have a conflict. You have a conflict of belief. On the one hand, you're dealing with whatever was told to you about this beautiful industry, growing up, going through life, or even personal experiences. You might have had a couple of bad experiences, negative experiences, and you turn them into your truths. And you hold on to that stuff. And then you see something like this, you jump in, you want it, but you struggle to get it. If you've ever struggled sharing this beautiful opportunity, have a look at your beliefs outside of this company, about the industry, about what people say about the industry, about what your friends and family say about it, what your work colleagues say about it. Who are you embarrassed to tell about it? Who do you duck and dive, avoid, sharing about it with. We've all got our version. When you can deal with this stuff, you'll have so much power around the conversation. But if you don't deal with this stuff, then your beliefs will always have power over your dreams. The distance between your dreams and where you are now is speeded up or slowed down based on the beliefs you have. How about that? So beliefs are flexible, they're fluid, and yet they have got such a strong grip that we don't even know that they've gripped us. That's where people get stuck oftentimes, right? Trying to undo this stuff. Trying to undo life. I want you to imagine that you went to school and then you went to college, and some of you even went to university, and some of you even went further. PhDs and MBAs and all sorts of wonderful stuff. I want you to imagine at some point in your learning journey, somebody that was teaching you, one of your teachers said, hey, you also need to learn about this incredible industry called network marketing. And they actually gave you the facts around the industry. The fact that anyone anywhere could get started for next to nothing in the grand scheme of life. Wow. Fact. Not a belief, not an opinion, fact. I like facts, right? Anyone, anywhere in the world can get started for next to nothing in the grand scheme of life. Wow. And produce whatever result you want to produce with that. Infinite possibilities with minimum skin in the game. Wow. How useful would that information have been, right? Anyone, anywhere in the world, including you. You can start at 18. Boom. Would you have started? What if your teacher said you could do it part-time alongside everything else you do? You can have a full-time career. You can have a full-time family. You can travel. You could do all of your hobbies. You can have weekends away. You can go out to eat. You can watch television. You can do all of the things you do. And you can do this part-time alongside all of the other things you do. It's that flexible. It will fit into your life. All you have to do is be 18 and get started. Wow. I wish I had that teacher. I had amazing mentors in my life. My parents were rock stars, but they didn't know about network marketing. Funnily enough, I say they didn't know about network marketing. My mum used to be an Avon rep, but she didn't quite get to grips with the networking side. She was always the number one retailer in the area, winning all sorts of prizes and trophies for going out, knocking on doors, cold calling and selling creams, potions, lotions, whatever she was selling in Avon. Me and my brother would be, traipsing around the streets in the dark, rainy, cold, snowy, wintry, freezing nights of England as children. When my dad would drive her around the neighborhood, she'd jump out of the car, knock on the door, we'd jump out of the car with her because just getting involved, carrying the bags, delivering it, collecting the cash, writing the receipts, all of that stuff. It was just like fun to watch that stuff, right? What people do. So I grew up watching The Hustle. What is your thought about hustle? For me, that was normal. My parents had to hustle. They had no choice but to hustle because they had big dreams, big goals, and the environment was harsh, not conducive. If they wanted to, they could have said they're the wrong color in the wrong neighborhood. They didn't have enough money. Another great strong excuse people use, I haven't got enough money. Haven't got enough education. They didn't have degrees or any academic advantage in the marketplace. Nobody wants to employ us. They didn't let that stop them. Racism was rife. They didn't let that stop them. People used to get beat up in the streets for being a different color back then in the early 70s. They didn't let that stop them. They didn't coop themselves up in the house, or they didn't get violent and retaliate either. They just had a bigger vision and continued moving forward, hustling. Unskilled jobs, factory jobs, whatever they could get their hands on, and then get home, sewing stuff. Mum would be on the sewing machine till 2, 3 in the morning, making stuff that would then go to factories, and she'd get like a penny per garment or whatever it was back then. Her weekly wage was like a couple of quid a week, a couple of pound a week. Talk about unskilled labor jobs, right? No excuse. What are your excuses? See, they could have had all the excuses and done nothing. They could have just surrendered, right? This is too hard. Forget it. We'll just settle for average. Guess what? They didn't. And eventually they had some breakthroughs. They hustled enough to save up enough to eventually own their own business. Took about 10 years. 10 years to own their own business because they didn't know about this beautiful industry and the power of this industry. You do. Doesn't take 10 years to save up enough to buy into this beautiful industry. They wanted to buy a shop, right? It took them 10 years to put enough money together to put a deposit on a shop. So you've got this, you own it. You are owners of your own future. What are you going to do with this now? Your attitude towards this opportunity will determine everything. You'll have heard the phrase, right? Your attitude determines your altitude. Your attitude determines your altitude, how far you'll go, how high you'll rise. So what's your attitude like when it comes to being self-employed, being self-led, being responsible for your own actions? No boss, nobody whipping you into shape, nobody telling you off for not showing up, nobody telling you off for not watching the videos, and none of that. You are 100% responsible for the actions you take, how much you learn, how much you don't learn, how many people you share with, how many people you don't share with, how many times you overcome fear, how many times you let fear take hold of you. You own it all. Every single one of those things is 100% copyrighted to you. How about that? And you can rewrite the copyright. This whole game of entrepreneurship, for me, is a journey of solving your own stuff. The vehicle is the same for everybody. Every single person in the organization has exactly the same vehicle, exactly the same opportunity, exactly the same scenario. There's only one variable, and that's you. Too many people don't get that, unfortunately. They don't get it. And they think the problems they've got to solve are outside of themselves. They think the challenges they have to solve are outside of themselves. So then they start to look. I'm going to blame my upline. My sponsor doesn't tell me enough. They don't keep me in the loop. They don't inform me. I'm going to blame my team. They're lazy. They don't do what I do. They don't follow my lead. They're not motivated. They're not inspired. They're not fired up. They don't get it. I'm going to blame my upline leaders. They're disconnected from me. They don't understand me. They're too far up the ladder. They're too high. They're making too much. They blame their friends. Nobody's listening. Nobody wants to know. Nobody's interested. They're laughing at me. They're calling me names. They're avoiding my phone calls. They're not responding to my messages. I'm going to blame the company. Why doesn't Ryan Zhu do more Zooms? Why doesn't Sam come to more webinars? Blah, 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 blah. Why isn't this working? Why isn't that working? This should be like that. That should be like this. When it's like that, then I'll get started. When that changes, then I'll get started. When my upline talks to me more, I'll get started. When my team starts to move, then I'll start to move. Can you see that? And then in the same exact dynamic, the exact same scenario, comes a different belief system and a different mindset. I'm not going to let that stop me. My upline doesn't talk to me, no problem. I'm going to be my own upline. My leaders are disconnected from me, doesn't matter. I'm going to connect with my team. My team's too lazy. Do you know what? I'll build a new team. Solution oriented. Because the dream is bigger than the excuses. The dream is bigger than the obstacles. The dream is bigger than the challenges. That's the difference. If your dream is not big enough, everything's going to get in the way. Everything will get in the way, like it always does for everybody. There's always a reason why people don't do stuff. And it's because the dream's not big enough. When the dream is big enough, you move mountains. You don't care about the obstacles. They're part of the course, right? You face them head on. You knock them down. You solve them. You work around them. You get over them. You dig under them. You work it out. You don't get phased. You don't get knocked out. You don't get thrown off course. You don't get stopped. You work through stuff. When you know where you're going, you just work through stuff, whatever that is. So work through your stuff. Shift your conversations, shift your perspective. Your point of view is not the only point of view. Your point of view is not the only point of view. Your perception is not the only perception. Your conversation, your language, your association to stuff is not the same as everybody else's. That's evidence enough for you to know that there are other points of view that you could latch onto. There are other words you can latch onto, other thought processes you could latch onto, other interpretations you could latch onto. You choose which way you go next. What frequency are you following? Is it a higher frequency or a lower frequency? What are you attracted to? Negativity or positivity? What are you drawn to? Solutions and progress or problems and static, staying the same old, monotonous, Groundhog Day, if you haven't seen that movie. Do. Same old. 50 years passes by, boom, you die. That's life, isn't it? 50, 60 years as an adult, done. See you later. A few lucky ones, maybe 78 years of adult life. You get into your 90s, boom, you're done. And what, you can do the same thing every day for 90 years? That's ridiculous, isn't it? Complaining about the same stuff. Repeating the same conversations. You've got a plethora of conversations you can have, and you decide to have the same one for the entire 7, 8, 9 decades of adult life on planet Earth. What a shame. You missed out. Somebody only will put one color on your painting palette. One brush, one color, and you spent your whole life with one brush and one color. Wow, congratulations. Born with the ability to create any number of color combinations you could, and you chose just one and fixated on it and got stuck on it and said, that's the truth. Red is the color. And this is the brush size and type, texture. That's it. There's no other way. This is it. Everyone else is wrong. You're wrong, 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 and you're wrong, and so are you, and so are you. I'm right. 90 years later, you're dead. Congratulations. And you were right. That's the best part. You were right. But you just didn't get to experience anything else. That's all. You got to experience the same life thousands of times every day till you died. Or you can open your mind to possibility. Open your mind to understanding this opportunity. Understanding what it can do for you and why it's worth getting uncomfortable and learning to overcome whatever you got to overcome to transform your life. Every single person that's reached a rank is a great measure. Every person that's reached a rank had to go through something to get there, right? Now, what's your mind? Nah, it was easy for Kalpesh. No, it wasn't. It was easy for Keith. No, it wasn't. That's what people say because they're looking at the end result, right? Oh, it's easy for my upline. No, it wasn't. It's easy for you because, and whatever you say after because is irrelevant because it's not even true. It's just your truth. It's easy for Sharon because, no. That's just the story you like to make up to make yourself feel better for not doing it. It's easy for Alberto because, no, it wasn't. Just notice how you start making excuses, justifications, stories to back up your own scenario instead of breaking through it. That's the choice. Everyone has their challenges. Everyone has the stuff that they got to resolve and get through. And the people that move up the ranks are just demonstrating that they're willing to get through their stuff. It's a great measure. The ranks are a measuring tool, right? That's why you should go for the ranks. It's not about look at me and look what rank I am. It's not about that. They are a measure for you to know that you're making progress. It's a measuring stick. Just like without a speedometer, you wouldn't know if you're breaking the law when you're driving the car, right? It's a measure that allows you to keep tabs on whether you are performing effectively, efficiently, optimally or not, whether you're aware or not. Allows you to measure whether you're growing or not. Are you growing organically or are you growing purposefully? What I love about this program is that you can share with a couple of people and organically grow your way to the top. You share this with a couple of people that decide to run with it, you will automatically over time climb up the ranks with a couple of people that are running. But that's not causing a result. That's sitting back and letting somebody else lift you up, which is cool. Nothing wrong with that at all. Still produces a result, right? But the beauty of this industry for me is when you can share with a couple more and cause a result. Not just rely on the ones that would have done it without you, but help some that would have never done it if it wasn't for you. That's where the magic is. When you can find somebody that wants it more than somebody else, somebody with a fire in their, with the desire to progress and succeed and win. If you can identify that diamond in the rough in your referral network somewhere, whether it's on your first level, your second level, your 10th level, your 20th level, your 50th level, doesn't really matter. But you finally find somebody that wants it and they want it bad. And they don't know how, but they know that they want it. They're full of passion and fire and excitement and enthusiasm. They're ready to rock and roll. And you find that person and you jump straight in at the deep end with them and you give them everything you got. You pour into them everything you've got, everything you've learned, everything you've experienced. You show them where the presentations are. You show them where the trainings are. You show them where the due diligence links are. And together you work this stuff. You work through the stuff. You watch the videos. You learn together. You grow together. And then you advance together. And you start creating that synergy in your organization where you're helping people move up the ranks that could not have done it without your stepping in, supporting, holding their hand, and walking the journey with them. That's growth, right? When you're in the trenches with your people, making it happen every single day. So attitude that you bring to the table, how you approach the business, belief, what your conversations are about the industry, about the company, about the technology, about others, about your comrades in the company, about people that are outside looking in, your contacts, your connections, the ones you're scared to talk to, the ones that scare the living daylights out of you. Pick the phone up to them. Say, hey, listen, do you know what? I've been resisting calling you for a long, long time. Because in my head, you are way ahead of all of the games that I've played. But I'm just being courageous right now and reaching out because you need to have a look at what I've seen. I reckon if you see what I've seen and you get it, we could do some really amazing things together. Having that conversation. And then being able to take the rejection if they decide to reject your offer. Handle that like it's not personal. Getting that it's not personal. When somebody says, no, thank you. When somebody declines your offer, it's no more personal than when you decline an air hostess that offers you a cup of tea or coffee and you say, no, thank you. Can you imagine? Air hostess goes off into the back of the airplane crying, oh my God, seat number 52 said no. It's not how it works, right? But that's how we do stuff sometimes. Oh my God, my work colleague said no. It's all right. Our job's not to force people, to convince them, to cajole them, to twist their arm. Our job is really, really, we've got the simplest job of all. Just share. Share using the tools. That's all you do, all day, every day. Share, 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 share. Everything else is noise. That's the noise I talked about that you've got to overcome, right? Share, 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 and share again. Keep sharing. Just keep sharing. You'll get better. In the beginning, you'll share really badly. But if you share enough, eventually you'll get amazing at sharing. People listen to everything you've got to say. They'll follow your lead. They'll hold your hand. And they'll move forward with you. Because you're going to get great at sharing, right? So have a commitment to get great. Get great at understanding the company, the projects, the vision, and share. So look, I'm a little bit over time, but I hope you got value out of today's nuts and bolts training. I'm going to cover different parts of what it takes to win, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I'm back here on Thursday, same time, same link. Get yourself on board, get your people on board. And each week we're going to bring a different heat and a different flavor, all nuts and bolts, all skills based, right? So mental skills as well as practical skills. So Thursday, I'm going to cover some invitation techniques, all right? So if you want to improve your invitation skills, how to be really effective, how to get a higher percentage turn up from invitation to turn up. You know, how many people you invite, how many people show up is a measure. It's another measuring skill. Write the numbers down. Some people don't write down how many they've invited and how many showed up. How can you ever know if you're improving if you don't know what your numbers are, right? So we're going to cover some of this on Thursday. So bring your teams, bring your people, and let's learn to invite more effectively together on Thursday. We've got a presentation tonight, I do believe. Normally, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays is an 8 p.m. UK time presentation, and then 2 p.m. Mondays and Fridays. So we've also got a recorded presentation video, the Vimeo presentation. So make sure you've got these access to these links that are relevant to building your empire. And if there's an 8 o'clock link in the Telegram group, share it with your teams and get your guests onto the 8 o'clock presentation. How many guests will you have on the next presentation? Commit. Make a commitment to yourself. You're 100% responsible for your business. This is your opportunity to do whatever you want to do with it. So how many people are you going to share the information with today and tomorrow and the day after and the day after? Decide in advance and then stick to it. Stick to it as close as you can. Don't deviate from your commitment to yourself. Baby steps to start with. I always say in the beginning, commit at least to 1 a day, all right? If you can start with 1 exposure a day and do not stop until you get that 1 a day done. The pain of not getting it done, that number starts to double up and multiply very quickly. If you don't get somebody having a look at the presentation for a week, well, if you couldn't do 1 a day, you're not going to do 7 on day 7, right? So that's another discipline in itself, staying on top of the baby steps so you don't have to start wondering how you're going to take massive steps when you couldn't even do the baby steps. Don't get into a position where you have to make that a challenge. That's called creating your own problems. Yeah. Don't let that be a problem. Just take the baby steps. Break yourself up, reinvent yourself, recreate yourself, do whatever you got to do and work with your uplines, work with your sponsor, your sponsor, your upline experts, pros, ranked partners. Let them know that you're up for this and work on it. Get accountable, create accountability conversations with your uplines and let them know. How many people did you speak to today? How many showed up? How many did you speak to tomorrow? How many showed up? And then share your journey to success. So we have got a 90-day challenge for the beginning of 2022. And whoever wants to join us on that challenge, it's 90 days to expose 100 people. 100 people that have seen the presentation live or recorded, 100 people that have seen the presentation in your first 90 days, starting from, if you started on the 1st of the year, well done. If you're starting today, then so be it. But have your own 90-day game plan and then follow with the rest of us on this first 90 days mission, the 90-day challenge, right? Of sharing the information effectively with 100 people, meaning that they've seen the full presentation. Means you might have to invite 2 or 3 a day, 4 or 5 a day to get that one to actually commit, show up and watch. You'll know your numbers very quickly if you start to measure them. All right. So thank you. It's been amazing. We're not going to take any shares today. I want to stick to the tight timeline for the simple reason that you have a presentation to invite people to. And I'd love you to use the time between now and the presentation to do that for yourself. Give yourself the gift of focusing on your business, picking up the phone and making some calls. I will finish off very quickly actually with a strategy that I shared with a few people this week and they've been blown away. And again, it's part of that where you take things for granted, right? I know I've said it's 100 people in 90 days. If you want 100 people to see this in less than 90 days, I dare you to do the following. All of us have got more contacts on our phones, including WhatsApp, than we acknowledge. Many of us run into the thousands of phone numbers on our devices, correct? 1,000 phone numbers, pretty much anybody, any day of the week on the street that you tap on the shoulder of, they'll say, yep, I've got 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 contacts on your devices. Some of us, we like networking, we like connecting, we collect numbers. Over your lifetime, you've collected 3, 4, 5, 10,000 phone numbers. How many contacts have you got on Facebook? How many contacts have you got on LinkedIn? If you're really up for the task, then contact, and this is not going to be conversations, of course, but contact like not 3, 4, or 5 a day, but 20 a day and watch what happens. If you reach out to 20 people a day, every single day, that's 600 people a month. That's 1,800 people in 3 months directly contacted by you saying, hi, hope you're well, happy new year, what are you up to? What are your plans this year? Have a bit of conversation, build a little bit of rapport, get some banter going. Don't go straight into pitch mode. Build and rebuild the connection, the rapport. And at some point in the 90 days, it's going to feel right, where the relationship is at a point where it's going good, you're communicating back and forth, you're staying connected. There's, out of those 20 a day, 1 or 2 will become people that stay connected. Do you see that? They'll become virtual friends, online friends, WhatsApp friends, Messenger friends. It will be so easy for you to start inviting 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 people a day to a presentation. So build your pipeline rather than playing the small game of contacting 2 or 3, hoping 1 turns up. Contact 20 or 30 and see what happens as you start building that pipeline. It goes ballistic. It will get to a point, and I can tell you this from experience because I always do this and it works every time, where you'll be too busy to get back to people. I've got people on my WhatsApp that I messaged 22 months ago that I haven't been able to follow up and get back to. I messaged 14,000 people in my first month. Think about that. And that was just my WhatsApp, right? And this is how I did it. I put them all into groups, broadcast groups, 250 people in each broadcast group. And then for a week or so, just send a hi. Hi, this is a great time of year to do it as well. Hi, happy new year. Hope all is well. What you've been up to? Just send that message out. If you send that out to 10, 12,000 people, 5,000 people, 1,000 people, 2,000 people, a percentage will reply back. Not all of them will. If they all did, you really would have a problem. Even the percentage that replies back will keep you busy for the next 90 days. You won't know what to do with the leads that you created. You will not know what to do with the number of leads that you will create if you take that level of action over the next 90 days. You're going to be busy working that group of contacts for the rest of this year. Doesn't take much. Get the momentum in at the beginning, reap the rewards for the next 270 days after that. And watch how you transform your life a year from today. So, my friends, thank you. It's been amazing. And get yourselves lined up to the next Zoom. If you can, create your own Zoom, launch your business, play the recorded presentation, invite 10, 15, 20 of your people, play the presentation. As soon as the presentation finishes, follow up with your 10, 15, 20 people and do that once or twice a week, right? Why wait for a presentation? Start showing the presentation in your own live Zooms. Cool. So lots of little things you can do there to accelerate your own success, your own journey, and get yourself to your next rank as quickly as possible. Cause the result. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. See you back on Thursday. Bring your people. And I love the fact that we're maxed